These seem like simple enough items, don't they? I mean, I have a roll of tape, some sugar cubes, and some rocks. To be fair, they are quartz crystals, but nevertheless a rock. What can I do with these items? I can take the roll and unroll it, but that's also not really interesting. I can take the cubes and break them in half. However, all of these items show a very interesting phenomenon. When I roll the tape off the roll, or when I break the cubes, or when I rub these two rocks together, light is emitted. I started by rubbing two quartz rocks together, and you can already see both of them glowing at the place where they are rubbing together. In fact, you don't have to rub them together hard at all, and the glow is very easy to see at daylight. This is why I chose to use quartz rocks for this demonstration. This phenomenon is called triboluminescence, the emission of light caused by scratching, rubbing, or damaging a crystal. This phenomenon is actually not quite understood at this moment in time. The current theory formulated by material scientists is based on studies in multiple fields, such as crystallography and spectroscopy. Most evidence is actually acquired from practical experimentation, however. This theory says that when the crystal is damaged, charges inside the crystal structure will separate, meaning that this effect will happen only in asymmetric crystals. However, experimentation has showed that some symmetrical crystals show this effect too, but it is assumed that these crystals contain impurities that give the crystal some degree of asymmetry. After the separation of the charges, they will recombine. As these charges recombine, they ionize the air. As the air gets ionized, it emits light, just like lightning does in a thunderstorm. Light bounces around in the crystal and gets refracted. As such, we see an orange light here for the quartz, instead of a blue light like from lightning. But since the light bounces around inside the crystal, this demonstration works best with white or even clear crystals. To hold the rock still for the camera, I went over to the grinding wheel. Triboluminescence is very different from the process of what makes metals spark. Metals spark because of the friction when ground. The sparks are extremely hot, they glow because the pieces that are knocked off exceed the glowing temperature of that metal. This can be very easily seen on the grinding wheel. The quartz will glow inside the crystal and make almost no sparks on the wheel, while the metal, on the other hand, creates a huge amount of sparks on the wheel, but there is no glowing at or around the metal piece. Even though both are examples of mechanoluminescence, there is still quite a difference between the two. If we look from the front, we can very clearly see the difference in sparks and the amount of them. The metal creates a lot of sparks that bounce all over the place. The sparks are also very hot. I got a few on my hand and I could feel them hitting. After grinding, the metal was also really hot, almost hot enough to be impossible to hold it. The quartz piece, on the other hand, creates almost no sparks. The few sparks that are created are impurities in the crystal, but the difference is quite clear between the quartz and the metal. After grinding, the quartz crystal was not hot at all, not even warm. Now we get to the interesting part. The quartz was already quite interesting, but this is even more mind-blowing. We now know how triboluminescence looks and works. We can now start exploring other materials that show this phenomenon. First, a diamond will occasionally glow when ground for jewelry, but I was not able to obtain the material to grind a diamond. Next is sugar, and sugar will also glow. The glow from sugar is very faint and I had a hard time getting this on video. Eventually I had to take a long exposure of hitting a sugar cube with a hammer at night. The shutter was open around 10 to 15 seconds. This was so that I had enough time to release the shutter, find the hammer, find the sugar cube and hit it. The first time I moved quite a bit and this is why the picture is a bit blurry. However, the second time it went a lot better and had a fairly sharp image. Apart from all the noise is caused by me having to turn up the sensitivity all the way. And finally we have the electrical tape. For this I hammered 2 nails into a plank so that I could pull and unroll the tape without moving the actual roll. Because the light from the tape is even more faint than that of the sugar. But it looks bright because I was able to unroll the tape for the entire time the shutter was open, around 15 to 20 seconds. The first time I tried, the results were really good. I hadn't nailed the nails far enough into the wood, so they came loose. This created the interesting pattern of the light wipe. After nailing the nails again, I was a bit more successful, but once again the board moved a bit, so this created the 2 sources of light. And third time is a charm, and this time I was able to hold everything perfectly still and unroll the tape. And here we can clearly see a source of light right where the tape gets separated from the roll.